Hello there. The UK government claims a Brexit deal is the most likely outcome, but that short-term disruption is possible without a deal. The UK government has today issued 25 technical notices advising on how to prepare if the UK leaves the EU without a deal, that is, goes out on WTO terms. Announcing them at a press conference, the Brexit Secretary Dominic Raab said that he was stepping up the intensity of the negotiations and that he is confident that a good deal is within our sights. That remains our top priority, he said. It remains our overriding priority. He then said that the expectation is that we would get a good, mutually beneficial deal with our EU friends and that 80% of it had now been agreed. But he also stated that, naturally, we have to consider the alternative possibility, that the EU does not match our ambition and pragmatism and we do not reach a deal. That is why the government is issuing those 25 technical notices to inform people and businesses in the UK about what they may need to do if we don't reach a deal with the EU. The notices are practical and proportionate, he said. He also said that the notices were intended to prevent or mitigate any short-term disruption. The overarching aim of the notices is to facilitate the smooth, continued functioning of business, transport, infrastructure, research, aid programmes and funding streams that have previously come from the EU. And as an example, he said that in order to maintain UK access to EU-produced medicines post-Brexit, it is proposed that where an existing medicine has been cleared for use by an EU member state regulator, we would still accept it even though the UK would be outside of the EU medicine regulation regime. He also said, "Let me assure you that, contrary to one of the wilder claims, you will still be able to enjoy a BLT after Brexit, and there are no plans to deploy the army to maintain food supplies." But the Remainers will still continue with their claims, won't they? But what has the Remain-dominated establishment and media made of all of this? Well, as a test, I turned to the BBC reports to see what yawning chasms of Brexit doom and gloom it had found whilst trawling through those first 25 documents. Well, their report begins by saying that if you go into the EU after Brexit and use your credit card, there might be extra fees involved. Then, those that trade with the EU should prepare for new customs checks, which might mean buying in new software or logistics support. But I assume that happens when rules change anyway. Also, without EU action, Brits living in the EU could lose access to UK banking and pension services. Note that I said without EU action. Pharmacists have been told to build up a 6-week stockpile of medicines to ensure a seamless supply. As an aside here, the Health Secretary has told patients and clinicians not to hoard medicine. In a letter to all NHS organisations, GPs and pharmacies demanding a series of preparations for a no-deal Brexit, Matt Hancock threatened to investigate any clinicians who built up unnecessary stocks, reports The Guardian. So, pharmacists will keep the stockpile and all others should continue as normal, is the message. Low-value parcels from the EU would no longer be eligible for VAT relief, says the BBC. And we will need new gruesome images for our cigarette packets because the copyrights to the ones currently in use are owned by the EU. I've got to say that this list looks more like a series of problems to be solved, problems that the UK should have set to solve on the day after the EU referendum. But as far as I can see, they are not the Brexageddon we had all been told by the Remainers to prepare for. Also, as far as I'm concerned, these problems are far preferable to signing up to the miserable Chequers-based Brexit deal that Raab is so sure will come to pass. And Tory Brexiteer Jacob Rees-Mogg must also think that, as he's penned a rather incendiary letter and sent it with a 3-page leaflet that rebuts Theresa May's proposals to local Conservative Association chairmen and parliamentary colleagues, saying that Theresa May's Chequers proposals would shackle us to the EU forever. We would be out of Europe yet still run by Europe. This is why the Prime Minister should chuck Chequers and instead seek a Canada-style free trade agreement with the EU to make the most of the global opportunities that lie ahead. In his letter and leaflet, he says that the PM's deal would not respect the result of the referendum and would leave the UK tied to the EU forever, unable to take back control of our borders, laws, money or trade. No one could recognise this as Brexit, he wrote, ending, "Moving to WTO terms would be a perfectly normal relationship between the two sides." The 2017 Conservative Manifesto bound the Conservative Party to fully leave the European Union. This is not where we are now. And he is 100% exactly right. But to get the right Brexit, we must now do a lot of chucking. Chuck Chequers, chuck May, chuck Raab, chuck Robbins and chuck EU. So, please let us all know what you think by leaving a comment below. Thank you for watching. Please do like and share this video, and also subscribe to my channel. And when subscribing, please do remember to press on the little bell next to the subscribe button. That way you'll get an alert every single time I put up a new video. Thank you very much for watching.